It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. Today's date is September 16th. It is a Tuesday. So happy it's Tuesday. And this is the C block, the Charlie block, which means we started right around 7:43. And because, 7:40. And because of the fact that I have my GPS clock working. John, what time is it?
It is 7:44.
We're right on schedule. John, I have to admit something.
Yeah, what's that, Brad?
I have no willpower. You know, I've told you this before.
Well, what happened? You watched another series of Valentina Gomez videos.
No, I have no willpower. My phone...
Oh, you're calling him. You're going to call him right now.
My phone won't stop. It just is auto-connecting to my phone, and it's going to ring. And...
Hello, this is Mark McCloskey. I'm not available on the phone right now. Please leave your name, telephone number, and message. I'll get back to you shortly. Thank you.
Okay.
At the tone, please record your message. At the end of your message, press 1.
Hey, Mark, Brad Hildebrand from Westplex Westplex Talk 104.5, the BJ Show. I'm on the air right now with good old John Combest, and I wanted to invite you. I'm going to the shooting range this weekend. I thought you maybe had a new gun or two that maybe you would like to try out, or maybe a gun that is new back to you. If you want, give me a call, 314-280-8880, 314-280-8880. Bye, Mark. Now, the interesting thing is, as I call him, my phone dings, which means I got a text message, and it says, please text me. Well, it doesn't work on radio if I text him, so I'm not going to text him. Okay, so...
Or you can text him back real quick and say, hey, give me a call. And, Brad, you're able to multitask.
Hold on.
And I'd be happy to filibuster for a moment.
Call me.
While you do that, I would also point out that there's been a series of stories across the country, including one from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, about school aides and other public employees who've been fired after celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, his assassination, etc. Monica Obradovic from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch has a headline, Jefferson County school aide resigns over comment celebrating death of Charlie Kirk. So, Brad, a whole lot of stories across the country of folks getting axed because they celebrated Charlie's death.
John, I will never understand this. I see, this is the point. I know you're going to, hold on, let me clear my voice again. This is going to be the kind of thing where you're going to say, oh, here he goes again.
Here he goes again. No, that's your phrase, Brad. I don't infringe on that.
Okay, I got it trademarked. I don't wish ill will on anybody. I mean, even the people that in my life who have caused me pain and financial loss and whatever, I may not like them anymore. I may not have a good opinion of them anymore. But by the same token, if they were walking down the street and I saw them collapse, I would pull my car over. I would dial 911. By the way, I called 911 yesterday, John. And I would help them, do whatever I could. If it came down to giving them CPR, which I do know, and giving them mouth-to-mouth, I would do that. I don't understand this hateful...
I think mouth-to-mouth is where I would draw the line based on their sex and based on what they looked like. First, you look down and you say, are they wearing comfortable shoes? Yeah. And then if they're wearing comfortable shoes, you pat them on the chest gently, and you say, hey, let's wait until qualified medical personnel shows up.
That would be John. I don't understand this. And the thing about...
Brand, is that maybe because you're an American and you're not a Democrat or a Republican? You think maybe it's because you're an American?
See, let me tell you, this is an inside baseball story, which I shouldn't tell on the air. I have a friend of mine who is involved romantically with a guy. And I'm not his friend on Facebook. And for some crazy reason, he comes up in my Facebook feed. And I know you're not necessarily a Facebook guy, but there's a page on Facebook which is like a summary page of all your friends who've posted recently. And it gives you a number of posts. And in this particular instance, every time, I don't even know why I ended up, I'm not a friend of this guy. It's just some crazy algorithm that, has associated me with this guy. His little, thumbnail comes up and it says 9+. And if I go to his Facebook page, it is post after post after post after post about how Trump is a piece of excrement, and it's got all these, videos of these crazy left-wing people. He, Donald Trump, he's the world, he's the devil incarnate. And I'm going to myself, I don't get it. And, to the point where I don't understand that. And especially nowadays, to the point where there are people who get fired. And this is a perfect example, the thing you're talking about. There was a crazy story that, I don't know if you heard this bizarre story yesterday or happened over the weekend, where a nurse went into, I don't know where this was, someplace a nurse went in to talk to a doctor, and the doctor started saying things about, I'm glad that somebody took out that Charlie Kirk guy, it's about time. And so she reports it to her supervisor, and she gets fired. So she goes on social media and tells the story, and she ends up in one of the talk shows. I think it might have been on Fox or News Nation or something like that. And whatever this health company was, hospital, I don't know, they got so much pushback. They investigate and they go, okay, sure enough, she was in the right. She reported this to us. It wasn't her that said this. It was the doctor. And they essentially confronted the doctor. He said, yes, I did say that. And they said, we need your resignation. He resigned. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And the point being is, and John's going to make fun of me, sometimes I try to de-escalate things. And if I get into arguments with someone, sometimes I will take it back to the very basic concept of who we are. And I will say to someone, and I've done this before, I go, what race are you? I'm white. Okay, what are you? Are you a human? Are you a dog? Oh, I'm a human. What country do you live in? America. See how much we have in common? And they go, what are you talking about? I go, it's like, why is everybody getting their panties in a bind over the fact that the abortion situation? Remember, you and I kid about Jim White. Remember Jim White when he started his show on KMOX back in the day?
What did he used to say, Brad? What were the two topics you didn't talk about on Jim White's show?
He would come right off the top and say, we're not going to talk about this topic because nobody wins. At the time, the big hot button issue was busing. And then I think it got into abortion. And he said he threw up a couple topics every night. We're not talking about this because his point was nobody ever convinces the other side. Okay, what I did in the last break, I gave a personal anecdote about me taking these PSA tests at Dave Sinclair for years, always bragging about. Matter of fact, I think I even bragged like September 4th and 5th. Well, I took my test yesterday. I'm going to get a letter in the mail. Says I'm nowhere near having, prostate cancer issues. And then I get the phone call yesterday saying, hey, your numbers are way high. We need to see you as soon as possible. Okay? And sometimes it takes that personalization. But by the flip side, don't take it where if you say, I'm right, you're wrong. Charlie Kirk was a great guy. Charlie Kirk was a terrible guy. Donald Trump is the devil. Donald Trump is the angel. He's our president, and once again, the idea being is that and to the point where you've probably seen this on X. There was one yesterday that was very well done. It had all these Democrats saying these bizarre things, how we're at war. And then they had the classic one was Maxine Waters. Remember Maxine Waters when she's at
tell the restaurant story, Brad.
Yeah, she says she's out someplace doing a personal appearance or something, and she's on the microphone. She's screaming in the microphone, and she says, and if you see any of the people from the Republican Party, and if they're at a restaurant or gas station, you get up in their face. You get up in there. I'm going like, okay, talking about, and of course, then the interesting thing was, our buddy, good old Jasmine Crockett, was on the talk show circuit yesterday saying, she never says anything bad about anybody. I'm going like, what? Jasmine Crockett? She's the one. I got the drop here. Remember we got the drop where she's talking about, butch body. What was she? She was yelling at it at what's the Republican game? The gal's name that's. Oh, hold on a minute. Is that John? Did I lose you? Did you disappear?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Brad. I accidentally got disconnected. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I left you right at the spot where you were telling Maxine Waters, and then I got disconnected from my connection.
Well, what was the I mentioned about that Jasmine Crockett was on one of the national talk shows or national news shows yesterday, saying that she never says anything bad about anybody. And remember, she was having the fight where we've got the audio on that where she's saying she's called somebody butch body. Remember where she said,
yeah, she was going after Marjorie.
That's right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, right?
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
She said a bad built butch body.
Yeah, bad built butch body.
And then I believe MGT or MTG, whatever her initials are, said something about her fake eyelashes and things like that.
Yeah, they were trash talking each other.
Yeah. Red, when you were texting McCloskey, I brought up the filibuster. I brought up the Jefferson County case. I'm sure you had in C Block things that you want to talk about that I interrupted you for. So my apologies for that.
No, that was it. I mean, I see. John's going to make fun of me, but last night I was driving back to the office, and Dana Lash was on the air. And she started talking about how she has canceled a bunch of her personal appearances. And she says right up front, I'm not doing anything outside anymore. Not going to do anything outside anymore. And the interesting thing was, over the weekend, I heard an interview with Eric Trump. And this goes back to like 2016, almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago, where Eric Trump was doing some college campus with, guess who? It was Charlie Kirk. And they were doing one of their campus tours at some university. And one of the high muckety-mucks, I believe it was in Georgia, the Georgia State Patrol was there. And the colonel or the captain or something came up to them and said, look, we'll do all we can to protect you, but we're not going to guarantee we can protect your life. Your life. There's some real crazies out there. And there's a story about if you've ever seen the video of when Riley Gaines was at some university in San Francisco.
Yeah, we talked about it many times. She was trapped in the hallway, and it was a frightening situation for her.
They chased her into an office, and they locked the door in the office, and people were trying to beat down the door to the office. And I'm going like, okay, hold on a minute. And then the other crazy part of this is, and I know people are going to give me pushback from this, that you and I talked about this last week, that so many of these shootings involve transgender, the whole thing with the church
of course.
In Minneapolis. Then there was the shooting and there's memes on you've probably seen the memes on Facebook and X. There's they show all the shootings and it says transgender. Well, it comes out that this dude that shot Kirk was living with a guy/gal who I guess is a guy that was transitioning to be a gal. And if you know the crazy part of the story, Charlie Kirk started his thing last week in Utah. And the second question was about transgenderism or something like that. Bang! That's when he gets shot. And
exactly. So that was the moment that the shooter decided to go after him.
That's supposedly what people are saying now. And and the whole thing is, you know what? I don't care if you're a man that's now calling yourself a woman. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. If you're my next door neighbor, and I've said this before, if you're my next door neighbor and you're in your house, cooking up meth, and you're snorting lines of coke and you're dismembering dogs, I don't care. But if your meth cooking blows up and damages my house, or if you throw those dismembered dog parts in my front lawn, or you're so stoned that I end up, on a Sunday morning with you sprawled in my front yard when I'm trying to cut the grass, that's when I care. Get what I'm saying, John?
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. You're doing the phrase that your right to swing your fist ends at my nose.
Yes, and I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. And just for the example, I gave you the example of that guy I know who's involved with a woman that I know, and I have very politely said to her, I think that's problematic. And her response was, well, I don't think he's really that serious about it. I go, have you really looked at his Facebook page? I mean, have you really looked at his Facebook page? As a matter of fact, I bet you any money, if I go into my phone right now, and if I pull up whatever this goofy page is that I have here for Facebook, I don't know if I can get to it right away. I don't even know how I get to this. It's one page I don't see a lot. It's like, hey, here's your friends are saying. I don't know if it's on here or not. Let me look at this. Okay. Just give me a minute here. Okay, there it is right there. This person has the little circle, and it says 9+ new. 9+ news. In other words, this person has put 9 different things on there, and they're all, here's all the different things on there. And they're all these videos of these wackadoodle left-wing crazy weirdos just talking about how Trump is a terrible person and how the country sucks and how we need to, rebel against the Republican Party and the Republicans are all jerks. And I'm going like, I don't get it. I mean, it's one after the other. And they're all like within, like, this is like one day worth of stuff, 9 different posts. Is your life that boring that you have to just post about stuff like that? I don't get it. And this is not the only one like this. I have other friends of mine who, and I'm not the kind of defriends people on Facebook, but occasionally there's stuff that comes up on my page. This is one from one of my friends. I'm going, okay, done with this. I just, and sometimes it's even, even right-wing stuff. I'm going like, okay, don't want to do it. I'm tired of this. That's why I'm now changing to the point where, and even to the point where we talked about this last week, I'm seriously considering changing the name of the station from Westplex Talk to American Talk. And John's going like, oh, here he goes again, right?
Yeah, well, this time when you do it, give me a heads up. I found out about Westplex Talk a couple months after you did it, so that's cool. Brad, good luck today on your appointment. I know that this is surely weighing on you, and I hope you have good news, and I hope that tomorrow you're comfortable enough to share something with us, and if not, maybe you could share it on or off the air.
Tomorrow night, Dave Sinclair, guys, and I think you're supposed to, as a dude, I think you're supposed to start this like about 35 or so. I'll know more tomorrow. I'll find out more tomorrow. But it's like for women, it's breast cancer and cervical cancer. For men, it's the most common cancer that men get is prostate cancer. So tomorrow, 4 to 6:30, Dave Sinclair Ford, the Ford dealership down in South County, right there, Lindbergh and Lee May Ferry, 4 to 6:30. It's absolutely, positively free. I've done it for years. If you missed me talking about it in the B block, I normally get my letter that tells me my numbers are great. I got a phone call yesterday from the nurse saying my numbers are not so great, and they want to see me right away. So that's where I'm going. So in a half an hour, I'll be sitting in the doctor's office, and when I get back, John, I will chop up the show, and I'll give you a buzz.
That's good. No rush, Brad.
Okay.
Hey, good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow.